It's really important that we have a circle of pastoral or people that we can rely upon doctrinally to help us stay straight and be accountable. You know, we're not mavericks. We need each other.
This is Master Ministry, tips, tools, and truths to advance eternal effectiveness in ministry. I'm your host, Douglas Hammett. Let's move into the broadcast now.
Is there something you would say to, let's think young preachers here that are young pastors, have gotten started out in the ministry and just trying to get their ministry off the ground and get going? What counsel would you give to them? What advice, what perspective?
I would just, the first thing I think of is I would encourage them to really get their feet on the ground, so to speak. I mean, there's something wrong with a new convert, and especially one who feels called into the ministry that doesn't have an amount of zeal and excitement. We ought to have that, a vision and dream of how God could use us. That's all a part of it. But we just need to make sure that we have a foundation under us, and that would include what we believe, our doctrine, and that would include a family life that's solid, you know, and our wife. I couldn't have made it without my wife, and you know, and if I would have neglected her, and so so it's a balance, you know, to make sure you have that balance in your life with your doctrine, your relationship with your family, and then I would, obviously the things that we read, I think guys really get off track sometimes because there's so much information through the social media, through the internet, and some of it's wonderful, but some of it can be harmful. And if you don't know where you stand and what you believe, a person can be easily deceived. And so I think it's really important that we have a circle of pastoral or people that we can rely upon doctrinally to help us stay straight and be accountable. You know, we're not mavericks. We need each other, and so I think all that's important. And we want to get in a big hurry, but you know, even Jesus, you know, he kept those guys pretty close to him for a long time. Not a long time in years, but they were immersed in his life and his teachings and watching him, his example, because that would become the standard, the example that they would follow. And so I thank God for young people getting in the ministry, and we need more of them. But I've seen a lot of them sidetracked. And that's one of the reasons it says, you know, 1 Timothy 3, you know, not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride. You fall into the snare, the condemnation of the devil. So I think that pride issue is a big issue. We need to make sure that we're under authority, have someone guiding us, helping us. You know, I remember one time as a young assistant pastor, when my pastor called me aside, the guy that was responsible for me going to Missouri, and saying, you know, I need to talk to you. And he wanted to talk to me about was my family life, because I was so involved in the ministry that I was neglecting my wife and our daughter and that time. And you know what, it helped me so much, you know, to realize, you know, you've got to care for those around you. So I won't say it, it's a wonderful life, and I mean this. If I had 100 lives to live, I'd want to live every one of them serving the Lord, you know, so it's not a bad life, but there are a lot of pitfalls, and there are a lot of places to get into error, and it doesn't take but maybe one or two bad steps in the wrong direction, and it can jeopardize a lot of people in your future. So it's not to put a negative light on it, but it's very serious business.
Thanks for listening. You know, your ministry does not have to stagnate or die. If you want to get out of the box and into the book, get some help right now. Give me a shout at pdhammett@gmail.com. We'll discuss what you need and recommend a course of action. Get in touch with me. You can also find tips, tools, and truths to advance eternal effectiveness in ministry and make an eternal impact at masterministry.com.